Katie, how you doing? I
Hey,
suppose
how's it going?
just looking ahead to the fight, this must bring back memories of where it all began, I suppose, back in London. And have you had have you had a chance this week to think about the journey, I suppose, and what you did in London, where you are now? I suppose just how it's come full circle almost. Have you time to reflect on that, or is that for another day?
Yeah, I guess I've been asked a lot of questions about that this week, about that fight in London, and it's kind of has forced me, I guess, to look back on it. And it was obviously such a great moment for me. I can't really remember much from the fight, to be quite honest. But I do just remember the atmosphere from that fight, and the Irish fans can proudly say that they broke the decibel levels in the arena that day. It was just a fantastic week for me, personally, of the achieving a childhood dream. I would have had no idea that 9 years later we will be facing each other again in the pro ring, but here we are. We obviously have great history together as amateurs, and we're facing each other again in the pro ring for the first time on Saturday night. So it's very, very exciting.
Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we go to Gav Casey next, please.
Hi, Katie. Hope you're well.
Hey, Gavin. How's it going?
I think good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. I think off the top of my head, it'll be the first time you'd be facing a southpaw as a professional. So it's been a while now. At the same time, you would have been preparing for Amanda Serrano at a point last year. I know you did some work with Andy Lee, for example. I think sparring in order to prepare for a lefty at the time. So I'm just wondering, how has that affected or changed your preparation in advance of this fight?
My preparation hasn't really changed much from fight to fight. Obviously, the sparring partners change. That's the only part that actually changes during the training camp. So I've had some standing southpaw sparring over the last few months, and so that's never an issue really. So yeah, I'm feeling very, very good ahead of the fight. I did fight a southpaw, I think, before with the girl Minka as a pro early on in my pro career, but obviously that was actually a late replacement as well. So I didn't. This is the first time where I actually had the proper southpaw sparring as a pro, and yeah, I feel in good shape. I'm ready to go. But yeah, nothing much has changed from training camp to training camp, but just the sparring partners.
Perfect. Cheers, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin.
Okay, we go to David from Radio France for your question, please. If you just pop yourself on unmute, David. Okay, David, we'll come back to you shortly. If we move on to Jim Condon next, please, for your question.
Hi, Katie. Jim Conlon here from RCB Radio Sport Ireland. Katie, 3 years ago, I spoke to Clarissa Shields on radio about the possibility of a dream fight between yourself and Clarissa. And she told me that Katie will always take care of business. She's the best of the best in the lower divisions and the lower weight classes. And I'll take care of the business in all of the top weight classes. But I'd love to see it happen, Clarissa said, but I can't see it happening. Is that something that you share the same sentiment?
I'd say so, Jim. I think there's too much a weight discrepancy there. Would be the equivalent of Lomachenko getting in against Golovkin, for example. So I mean, I can't really go above 142 pounds. I think for a lot of people it will be a fantasy fight, but I don't really feel like it'll be very realistic for that fight happening. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of fighters in and around the lightweight division who I'm actually focusing on, and that's it really.
Cheers, Katie, and best of luck. We're all cheering for you.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Okay, I've got Jake Donovan from Boxing Scene, please.
There we go. Thank you, Katie. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to ask, this is your third fight since the pandemic. Has there been any difference in training from your first fight, given there was so many delays, as compared to this camp where you've had sufficient time?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess there early on in the pandemic it was probably a bit trickier. The gyms were all a bit closed, and it was harder to get sparring partners, for example, in the early stages of the pandemic. But thankfully, where I'm based in Connecticut, it has opened up there quite a bit over the last few months. So it hasn't been that hard really to get back into the gym and to get the rounds and with the different sparring partners. So it has been quite easy over the last few months, I would say. But earlier on, it was definitely a lot trickier.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Katie. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah.
Okay, if we go to Wingy Boxing for your question, please, mate.
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Not too bad, Dad. Not too bad. How has the perception of women's boxing changed in your eyes since your first pro fight up until now? What have you seen? The major changes that stick in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I was making my debut 4 or 5 years ago, people really didn't know much about women's boxing, for example, and I'd say it was just a bit up in the air in terms of they didn't know whether this was going to be if this was going to be the real deal or not. So just looking over the past few years, it's just seeing the barriers being broken, and in every single fight card right now, there's probably a huge female fight, and people are actually excited about these female fights now. They're not getting laughed about anymore. They're actually serious fights that people are actually interested in, and I think we have made so much ground over the last few years. So it has been a great time to be involved in sport.
I've only got one question, or Dan will tell me off, so I better go. But I'm going to catch up with you in the future at some point. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Wingy. If we go to Andy Waters next, please.
Thanks, Dan. How you doing, Kitty?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, thanks. Kitty, Natasha has been quoted as saying, she's stronger now, she hits harder now, that she did, 9 years since, since your Olympics fight. I mean, how have you changed? I mean, how's your style developed since then?
Yeah, I think we're both very, very different fighters now than we were back then, and that's why I can't really draw much from our last fight in the Olympics. We're both very, very different fighters now, and I say that we both have transformed into good pro fighters, and professional boxing is obviously so much different than amateur boxing, and what works in the pro game isn't going to work in the amateur game, and vice versa. So we're both very, very different, and. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a great fight. I don't even think I answered that question, but
no, that's 100%. It's just the other one I was going to ask you. So far, 2021, it hasn't been a great year for Irish boxing. With Carl Frampton getting beat and Sean McComb and Paul Halen, with a couple of people pulling out, Anto Kakachi as well. Can you get your thoughts on Frampton, on the legacy that he leaves behind? I mean, you're a 2-weight world champion yourself. He was going for 3. It didn't happen, but still, a terrific career that he had.
Oh yeah, an incredible career, a legendary career, really. He's been in there against the best, never ducked any fighter. He was obviously taking a big risk, stepping up and weight in the first place, and then trying to become a 3-weight world champion, but it just didn't happen for him. But what an amazing career, and he's leaving the sport as an absolute legend. So congratulations to him. He's had a phenomenal career.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Thanks very much, Kitty. Best of luck.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. If we go to Ron Lewis next, please.
Katie, hi there. Everyone says in women's boxing that Katie Taylor is the one that sets the bar for everyone else. Who sets the bar for you, and how do you keep pushing yourself on to higher and higher achievements?
I mean, I'd say this generation of fighters have definitely achieved an awful lot, that's for sure. But I was saying this earlier on, but that we're also standing on the shoulders of many great fighters as well. The likes of Deirdre Gogarty, who's actually a hero of mine, Jane Couch, Layla Ali, Lucia Riker, who's a phenomenal fighter. Anne Wolfe, Christy Martin, these kind of girls who actually paved the way for us as well. So I guess for me, I just want to continue to tear down those barriers and to continue to make it easier for the next generation of fighters. But I'm just so grateful for the fighters that went before me that actually paved the way for me to be in this position as well.
Excellent. Cheers, Katie. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. If we try David from Radio France again, please.
Yes, hello, Katie. Hello, everyone. And sorry about my mic problem. You have already won everything among amateurs and professionals. What else do you have to accomplish besides defending your titles? And have you ever thought about retirement?
I don't think I'm thinking about retirement as of yet, but obviously I can't do this forever as well. I know that I only have a few years left in the sport, but right now I feel very fresh and I feel quite good, and I'm continuing. I obviously still love my job as well, and that's what motivates me. I still absolutely love this job. I'm still not tired of getting up in the mornings and doing the road runs, for example. But I just want to continue to improve. I want to, obviously, it would be amazing to become a multiple weight undisputed champion, if that's a possibility. And I just want to be involved in the biggest fights possible, and I just want to continue to tear down those barriers.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, David. If we go to Tasha Jonas, please, next.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
Yeah, hi, Sasha.
Obviously, you had a couple of close fights against Pursuing. Are you feeling any pressure for a standout performance against Tasha?
No, I don't feel any pressure at all. I think I look at those performances as great victories, and obviously the first fight was a lot closer, but I think I showed in the first fight that I have a lot of heart and a lot of grit and determination, and I came out with a grueling win. The second fight was obviously a lot more clear cut and a great performance, so I felt really, really good after that fight, and I don't feel under pressure at all, really. I guess there's pressure going into every fight, because I know I'm aware that a lot of times I am the favourite going into these fights, but that's a good thing as well. I think pressure is a privilege, and I feel privileged to be in the position where I am, winning fights where my record as a fighter is a good one, and that's why there is pressure, because it's a testimony that you're actually doing well in the ring. So I see it more as a privilege rather than a pressure.
Thank you. Good luck at the weekend.
Thank you.
Sasha, if we go to Danny Flexen from Seconds Out.
Hi, Katie. How you doing?
Yeah, hi. Not too bad, Danny.
Good. I spoke to Tasha a few weeks ago and asked her if she felt your fight should be the main event of the show. And she said any fight involving Katie Taylor, regardless of the opponent, should be the main event, given your undisputed status. I just wanted to get your view on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to being the headline actor, I guess, but regardless of whether we're a headline or not, I think this fight could be the show stealer of the whole night. I think it has the potential to be that kind of a fight. I know when we fought twice as an amateur, they were both edge of the seat type of fights, and it could be the same on Saturday night as well, but I'm just glad to be involved in a big fight again, regardless of whether it's a headline act or not. I'm just happy to be involved in such a huge fight, and in a fight that people are really genuinely excited about. So it's a great position to be in.
Thanks, Katie. Best of luck.
Yeah, thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny. If you go to Andrew Ryan next, please.
Hi, Katie. Andrew Ryan with the Whitnall People. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Andrew.
Good stuff. You've spoken about, you've reflected on how far women's boxing has come over the years since you've turned pro. But looking back on that fight with Natasha at the Olympics and the atmosphere within the arena that day, do you think that had any significance in demonstrating the potentially untapped appetite for women's boxing at the time?
Yeah, I think that was the first time that people really seen women's boxing on a global stage, and I think a lot of people are saying that fight between myself and Tasha was a fight of tournament actually, and yeah, the atmosphere was obviously electric. I think we showed everything in that fight: the skill, the heart, the determination, everything that needed in a good match and in a good fight. So I think, yeah, for the first time in the women's game, people seeing women's boxing as absolute best, and since then women's boxing has gone on to do so much over the years, and obviously the pro game now is so strong because one of the reasons is because for the first time in women's professional boxing, these girls are coming into the pro game with so much amateur experience as well. They have that amateur background, and that's why you're seeing everything in the pro game right now with regards to women's boxing.
Thanks, Katie, and good luck at the weekend. The county's behind you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, if you go to Owen Cowser next, please.
Hey, Katie. I don't know, did you see last Sunday, but Reeling in the Years was 2012. So the last 5 minutes of it was all about you. like, do you ever have time to look back on what you've done, or is it always about looking forwards?
I definitely don't tend to look back too often. I am just that there will be a time for that when I actually retire from the sport. But right now I'm just focused on what's ahead and focus on these upcoming fights. But yeah, it has been an incredible journey, and from the amateur game to the pro game, it has been absolutely incredible, more than I could have imagined, really. So I am so grateful for the journey that I'm on.
Right, thanks, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, all.
Okay, we go to Belfast Boxers, please. Conway.
Hi, Katie. How's things?
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. So, firstly, did you happen to see Natasha's contest with Terry Harper? And secondly, what did you make of her performance?
I didn't see the full fight, but I obviously seen clips of the fight, and yeah, fantastic fight. I think it was probably the fight of the year in my opinion. It was fantastic, and both girls showed so much will to win in that fight, and the skill involved in the fight was incredible as well. I know that Tasha had a kind of a rocky start to her pro career, and I knew that at the start that she wasn't showing her best, but definitely over the last couple of fights she has showed why she belongs here, and it was just a great fight. I don't know who won the fight now. It was obviously called a draw, but I'd love to see that rematch in sometime in the future myself.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Best of luck for Saturday, Katie.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Okay, so if we go to Steve Bilton from Boxing UK, please.
Hi, Katie. It's Steve from Boxing UK.
Hi, how's it going, Steve?
Hi, Katie. Katie, just going back to the Clarissa fight, you said it wouldn't happen, but she proclaims herself as the greatest woman boxer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take personal issue with that?
I don't take it personally at all. Actually, I'm not really too hung up on those things. I'm just trying to be the best that I can be, really. And I'd obviously love to be considered the best pound for pound fighter in the world, but that's all a matter of opinion as well. So I'm not really too hung up on those things. I just want to be the best that I can be. And Clarissa is obviously a phenomenal fighter herself. So she's done so much for the game, and yeah, she's doing a great job.
Best luck at the weekend, Katie.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we've got time for a couple more. We've got Tasha in the waiting room. Josh, apologies if I pronounced your surname wrong. Kasowitz?
Kasowitz, yeah. Hey, Katie, how are you?
Hi, how's it going, Josh?
Good, thanks. Kind of following up on that last question. There's debate about whether you're pound for pound number one or Clarissa is, or maybe even Amanda Serrano. Does that motivate you at all? Does it, when you're training or doing road work, do you think about, hey, I want to be number one pound for pound fighter? This motivates me. I don't know if you think about that, but is that something that motivates you, the potential to be number one pound for pound?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I would obviously love to be considered the pound for pound number one in the world, but I'm just trying to improve my own boxing ability. I just want to be the best that I can be, like I said before, and I want to be involved in the biggest fights possible. And so, yeah, I just want to go in, and it's important for me to go in and actually produce great performances each and every time I step into the ring. And that's why I train hard. That's why I get up every morning and do the road work. I want to show my absolute best every time I step into that ring.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and now for the final question. Just apologies to anyone that hasn't had a chance yet, but unfortunately, I'm on a bit of a tight schedule here with the full card. But if we pass over to Ames from Boxing News TV, please.
Ames here for Boxing News, dude. Pleasure to speak to you again, Katie. Katie, I just wanted to get your perspective on, with the recent fight between Shannon Courtney and Ebony Bridges, there was a conversation about the way fighters should or should not promote a fight and themselves. I want to know what your perspective was on that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there is the fight was being portrayed in a certain way beforehand, but I think both girls showed absolute brilliance on fight night. It ended up being a fantastic fight, so that's all I'm concerned about, really. They showed the heart needed, they showed the grit and determination on the actual fight, and it ended up being a fantastic demonstration of women's boxing. So regardless of what went on beforehand, the actual fight itself was absolutely brilliant. So that's all I'm concerned about.
Appreciate that, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologies. One more. David Mohan. Sorry, I've just seen your message in the chat. So if you're still there, please feel free to fire away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quickly. Katie, saw comments, I think it was yesterday, from Joe Gallagher. Is he trying to maybe get under your skin by saying that you can be hurt in this fight, or how do you take that?
I think I don't think anyone can really get under my skin, to be quite honest. I'm not that type of person to be offended in any way. I'm just regardless of what's been said before the fight here, it's going to be settled on the actual line by the sweet science of boxing. It's not going to be settled by what's been said beforehand. So I'm just focused on the actual fight itself.
Grand stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.